I'm going to call the second meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Trails Commission to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Chair Marty Rosen,
Here.
Vice Chair Bill Zimmerman,
Here.
Commissioner Richard Croy,
Here.
Commissioner Tom Gitteroy,
Here.
and Commissioner Ken Gaunt.
Here. Maybe before we move on, should we say something about our new commissioner and welcome him?
Absolutely. I was going to. I want to welcome Tom Gidroy to the fold. Thank you for agreeing to join us. And I'm going to ask Tom to do the flag salute for us.
Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any modifications to the agenda?
No, we have none.
Okay, then I ask for approval of the agenda.
For minutes, you mean?
Yeah. No, for
sorry.
the agenda approval. We'll just approve it as it is. And we'll take us to item number 5, our presentations. And the first one is Valleywide Recreation and Parks District East Side Parks Update. Who is going to do that?
Yeah, I'd like to invite Vince Valdez of Valleywide Park Recreation District to come up and provide that update. As a reminder, this was at the request of the commission at the prior meeting. So,
Vince, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, Mark. Good evening. She's got a little video there that she's got right there, and she's just going to play that. It's just a little background on some of the stuff that we do throughout our district. And you've also got some packets there that you can look through there. The little short one is, the small fold-up pamphlet is really all Menifee. It gives you an idea of what we do on here. It's our 25th year here, and we'll go over a little bit of that as soon as she rolls that. They've got it on this one over here.
Your mic isn't on.
And again, just some small pictures of what goes on out there, some of our facilities, and the people that we service out there. First thing I'd like to do, gentlemen, just to introduce myself. Again, it's Vince Valdez. I've been with Valleywide for 20 years. Started in 1995, started right out here in the Menifee area. And I've enjoyed it. It's been a great group of people out here. It's worked out real good. Built some great relationships with not only the residents, but a lot of the kids. We've watched them grow up. In 20 years, you've seen them from go little to go away to college. So it's been a lot of fun on my part, coming out and dealing with the people out here. Okay, Valleywide came to Menifee in 1989 with the purpose of providing recreation to the residents in the area, and it all began with what you now know as La Paloma Park and Wheatfield Park. Okay, Wheatfield Park and Community Center now serves as the Valleywide headquarters in Menifee. When I first came out there, it was a trailer. That's what we were in. We were in a trailer out there. The community built the building there, and that's our headquarters at this time. This is our 25th year, and it's an exciting one. Okay, less than a month ago, Valleywide had 18 parks, 3 community centers, and over 25 miles of streetscapes. And that was from the start of 2 parks. And that's just in the Menifee area. Everything now, those parks are all within the city limits. With the addition of the Menifee West this past July 1st, Valleywide is proud to serve Menifee with 25 parks, 5 community centers, and over 30 miles of streetscapes and landscape maintenance. As a single focus agency, Valleywide is able to partner with various communities and cities. We currently operate 87 parks, 13 community centers, 2 aquatic facilities, 1 golf course, 1 skate park, and over 60 miles of streetscape. We do all this with 29 full-time staff on board. Our service area is over 800 square miles. We're big. We're out there. We service a lot of people. One of our most important accomplishments is our ability to provide recreation programs and services to approximately 44% of the youth in our service area. If kids tell you they don't have anything to do, come to one of our parks any evening, and you can see them out there, they're doing stuff. They've got them going everywhere. Okay? Programming and staff on the Menifee West has remained the same since Valleywide began providing services on July 1st, and new programming and services are in the works. We had a very, very good staff out there when we decided to partner up with the city and took that, and they all stayed on, and it's working out real smooth. The transition has been smooth. Everything seems to be going real good. The summer programs that were scheduled have all taken off and have gone real well. Okay, we have some events coming up, just so that you're aware of. You've got a couple of flyers there. One of them is our Volunteer Appreciation Pool Day on July 26th. I used to memorize all the numbers, but we have tons of volunteers. Our volunteers, we treat them like gold. And this is one way we take them out and say thank you for coming out and doing things for us. That's everything from coaching to coming out and pulling weeds to helping clean up. We do a lot of community service with the high school kids. So that comes out and we help them get their hours so that they can get out and get graduated from high school and move on. Okay, we've got a splash day at the Storm game on July 30th. We're doing a little field trip with the Trek, Summer Trek group that's being run out of Lazy Creek. And so we're taking them up to the Storm game on the 30th. One of our bigger events is the annual Soapbox Derby. That Soapbox Derby, for those of you who haven't seen it, we run those things right down Menifee Road, starting up at Craig, and it's a really, really great event. We partner with the city on that. We've been together for that this will be our 3rd year. Okay, Alan races too, so he knows what's going on there. So it works out. So 3 years doing the Soapbox Derby. It's worked out really, really good. We also partner with the city on a couple other events. We do the Independence Day celebration, which we do the weekend before the 4th of July. Okay, we've helped them out with work with some Halloween events. Starting in 1990, the Women's Club used to be the big group out here. And we worked with the Women's Club, the Menifee Lakes Women's Club, to sponsor events like the Halloween costume, the Easter egg hunts. They were the lead agency in the Independence Day celebration for 20 years. The city's been taking that over for the last 5 years since they've been a city. So that's been working out real good. We work hand in hand with them on a couple of different events. One of the biggest things I think where we cooperated with the city that I think has made an impact has been the Veterans Memorial at Wheatfield Park. You know, we had the donated land there. The city helped, put in the the labor and the financial aspects, but we've got a really nice memorial in that park, some events that take care of there, and that's a combined effort between us and the city. It's worked out real well. The community itself is, again, an unreal community. Every Christmas, you have a group out here of citizens that come out. We provide a building for them, and they come out and they serve the community. They serve the needy in the community, a Christmas dinner on Christmas Day. It's a different way to spend Christmas. My family and I have done that for the last 3 years. It's really a big, if I could give them a round of applause here, but you never know who they are. There's so many of them, but they do a great job out there. That works out really good. We had a tragedy here in Menifee just a couple of weeks ago where you had the plane crash that took, a good portion of a family who the father happens to live directly across from the park. So we opened up our doors at our center for their gathering after their memorial that they had over at Hans Christian. And it's different things like that that we do for the community out here and keep doing, look to always keep doing. So it works out really good. You've got the packets in there. If you've got some questions that you want to ask, I'll do my best to answer every one you got.
Any questions, gentlemen?
I'll mention something. Vince, first of all, thank you. You've always been kind of an accessible person for a lot of us that have trail interests and things like that. And I know tonight we're going to be talking, I see Mr. Brewer here, we're going to talk about regional trails. But tell us the relationship where Valley-wide is in control of certain trail connections and things like that.
Well, I'm not sure that we're really in control of the connections. We do some, let's call it light maintenance. We keep the trail cleared. The one here in Menifee is the one up behind the Oasis. Mm-hmm. We keep that one. You guys at the Trail Commission, you know that they've got a trail coming down through Salt Creek. We'll be maintaining a good portion of that. It's going to be part of, it's not only a trail, but a little bit of recreation stuff in there, so that'll look out really good coming through there. I don't know if there's any control. Dean's here, and he could probably answer those questions a little better than I do, but we work hand in hand with the trail guys. It's something that we feel very important to the community. It's another form of recreation.
Well, I appreciate, like I said, your accessibility has always been something that we've appreciated, and I'm really looking forward to the fact that our city, as well as Valley-wide and the county's trails group, can be working together, and so it's an opportunity to complement each other, and so I hope that that's something that we can do.
And we always look at everything like that. It's an opportunity.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Vince.
The next item, the Riverside County Regional Park and Open Space District Trails Update. Mark, I almost apologize for getting you out of Riverside.
Well,
I'm sorry, Arupa Valley.
Well, thank you for getting me out of Riverside and Marina Valley for the night. Marty, commissioners, my name is Mark Brewer. I'm the senior planner for Riverside County Regional Park and Open Space District. I am also the county's trails planner. I was going to bring the rest of my team tonight, but my general manager begged out on me, and my assistant general manager is out on vacation. So we do appreciate being asked to come down here and talk to you about trails. What I'm going to try to do is be as brief as possible tonight. I don't want to inundate you with a whole bunch of information that means absolutely nothing to you, except he's throwing words out at us. What we want to do is give you just a brief overview of what we do, what we consider key documents to use within the county. And we're going to talk about 6 major projects that we've got going on, that 5 of which directly relate to the city of Marina, city of Menifee. I apologize for that one. It's been a long day. So the first question I think you really want to know is, who's the county's trail agency? Well, 2 of my team didn't show up tonight, and so you're looking at the trails team for Riverside County. Most people do believe that the Regional Park and Open Space District is the trails provider. We are, by board policy, the regional trails provider within the county. Although the policy acknowledges community trails, They believe that community trails are better addressed by either a local entity, a city, nonprofit, CSA, etc., homeowners association even. Most of the questions always come to us because we also, one of our job functions is to deal with the development community. We deal with planners, and whenever there's a question regarding trails or there's a development project coming into the county, we look at that project for impacts to trails and the county park system. But the key thing is that we're facilitators. Our agency is small. We're not the county of Riverside. We are an independent district that has an umbilical cord to the county. But we are not, we are staffed and established by vote to be a district. So we do have some autonomy, but we do get services from the county. But we're also, as I said, a facilitator. We're small, and we realize that you can't get anything done or anything built on anymore in this county, especially trails, unless there's some type of collaborative effort. So we spend time organizing not only agencies, whether they be state, federal, local, or other county agencies, but we also organize citizen groups and special interest groups like mountain biking groups, equestrian groups, et cetera, to help us get trails designed, developed, and built in the county. And I think the best example that we can show you or talk to you about is the Santa Ana River Trail. Santa Ana River Trail, and I'll come back to this, but the Santa Ana River Trail really consists of a memorandum of understanding between 3 counties, Riverside, Orange County, and San Bernardino County. We have, and in that agreement, 17 cities. We have nonprofits, the Army Corps of Engineers, and a host of government agencies at the state and federal level, all working together to get the trail built. And when it comes to building, you know, there's a plethora of funding if I have a collaborative effort. If I go at it singly or by myself, I'm not going to get very far, to be honest with you. Also, you need to understand that 15 years ago, I could build a mile of trail for $100,000. Nowadays, I'm building trail anywhere from $400,000 to $600,000 a mile. It's scary, but it's kind of also an exciting time. So the next question is, how do I do it? You know, I'm not going to tell you I've got the best answer in the world, but we do have several documents within the county that kind of act as our guiding Bibles on trail design, one of which is the County General Plan. The County General Plan provides trails with the County General Plan is basically a guideline document. It's not etched in stone. There is some flexibility, but it's a guideline to help people and developers live and survive and develop within the county. The trails element within the county's general plan is actually part of the circulation element. And we are listed as the non-motorized circulation element. The plan consists of definitions, classifications, trail standards, trail cross-sections, roles, responsibilities, and policies. And in association with that, there are proposed planning maps that show trails all throughout the entire county. Understand these are planning maps. There's a misunderstanding, and maybe there's something that needs to be addressed, is that just because there's a line on a piece of paper doesn't mean we're putting a trail through your jacuzzi. We're not that. We don't do trails in a vacuum in Riverside County. We're a very transparent process. We involve as many people as we can, and by the fact that we're doing a collaborative effort, everybody has a say. As another example, we ran into a homeowners association that didn't want anything to do with us. We tried, we took every action we could. We needed 75% of the vote of the total members of the homeowners association, and we couldn't get it. So consequently, the trail didn't go in. Unfortunately, the current version of the county general plan that we're working off is the 2003 Riverside County Integrated Plan. There is an update in progress. Our agency was one of the lead agencies for putting together the trails information for the new plan. We had a team of 4 county agencies, and we had all the representatives from our Trails Committee as our critiquing body. The good news is the plan's done, and it was released for public review in May of this year. So I'm holding my breath. As a parallel document, however, because of the influx or the amount of development that was going on back in the early 2000s, we also developed a design standard manual. The design manual was actually geared to the development community, builders, planners, et cetera. They were coming in with specific plans. It consisted, again, of trail standards, cross-sections, definitions, the maps, and it also gave for every type of project that you could submit in Riverside County, we had a list of sample conditions that you were going to see. And when an applicant would come in for with a project, basically they got the package and said, make sure you do your homework. Unfortunately, it's still in draft. The reason it's in draft is it's associated to the general plan update, and I can't use the maps until we get the general plan approved. So we're waiting with bated breath. Other documents that we use are Caltrans standards. We use section 1000 and 101, 1001 of the Caltrans standards for trails and bike trail development. And then we do internet research, and we go back to some of our past consultants. There's a plethora of information out there, and there's new standards coming up and new solutions on a daily basis. So it's always changing, it's dynamic, it's always getting better. So, that's the approach, and that's the process. But having said that, the process is it's not a bad process, but it's a process that can be changed. It's a process that can be improved. And within the last year or so, Scott Bangle, our general manager, and I have been talking about this. And we recently completed a comprehensive plan for our entire park system. But with the magnitude of the trail system, we removed the trails from the original comprehensive plan for the district. Well, we're turning around, and within the next 2 months, we're releasing a request for proposals to do a comprehensive trail plan for the entire county. This trail plan will provide an analysis and make recommendations to revise and currently update the non-motorized bike plans and trail plan within the county general plan. It'll provide an analysis and recommendation to improve our standards, do an analysis and recommendation on our trail types and categories. We're suggesting that there will be new trail delineations, and these delineations could go from purely recreational trails to alternate transportation routes, to commercial use trails, and yes, motorized trails for OHV activity. It will make recommendations for additions and deletions to the county's current proposed trail network. And this is important because we currently have 2,100 miles of trails shown on the 2003 general plan. And that's a formidable task to develop a sustainable trail system for. We were going to categorize and inventory our existing trail system. We're going to have policies or revise and write new policies regarding land use, easements, liability, unsanctioned trail use, management, and illegal trail use. We're going to identify the district's role, or re-identify the district's role as the lead agency or manager of the program, and then we're going to identify and list collaborative agencies through the county that will work freely with us. One of the final and probably more important recommendations is that we need to have immediate and long-term funding sources. And we have to identify that either using models or methods to obtain monies. As I said, when we were established as a district, we were established without a funding source. We were on the agenda or on the ballot to establish the district, and then to establish our authority to do assessments to fund the district. And surprisingly enough, the establishment of the district passed and the funding source failed. It was $12 a month. It was $12 a year per household. So, but we still, because of that loss, we don't have any authority to do assessments, and that's one of the things that needs to be examined. But when the whole document gets compiled, it needs to be put together in a very simple framework. It needs to have models or methodology to restructure our current program and provide a very clear, transparent, and sustainable program for trails in the county. So that's really one of my more exciting projects, and that's number one on my list. That's what I get real excited about. I mean, I'm an advanced planner, so yeah. But the next 4 or 5 and was what I call the fun stuff, because this is where the rubber actually starts to hit the road. First project is up Salt Creek Channel. Salt Creek Channel is about 15.5 miles of trail from Audie Murphy Ranch at Newport Road to State Street in Hemet. It's a collaborative effort between Flood, Transportation, Hemet, MWD, and my partner back here from Valleywide. We have hired our consultant. He's doing his preliminary research and field work. We have initiated our CEQA and NEPA work and are moving forward. We have finished our preliminary environmental service form so we can get our Caltrans number and move forward. We were in January of this year, we received a $5.5 million grant from RCTC to build the first 2 phases of the Salt Creek Channel when we come out of design development. First phase will be Audie Murphy to Antelope. Second phase will be State Street to Sanderson. We have submitted for third phase funding in the amount of $3.3 million, and we will find out whether we are going to get awarded on August 8th. If we don't get awarded on August 8th, we go into the pool for the September 15th award day. So we're on pins and needles right now. If funded, that section will go from Sanderson all the way down to Highway 79. So we're taking a pincer action and moving this way to get the trail built. Next one is a totally unfunded project, but it is really neat, and we'll have, when it's finished, it'll be state of the art, and it'll be something no other county has in Southern California, we think. It's our Pines to Vines Trail. It's pretty much a single track trail. Goes from the town of Idlewild all the way down to the corner of State Street and the Domagony Parkway at Gibble. At that point, you can turn to the left and go to the Whiten Country, or go straight ahead and pick up Salt Creek and go all the way over to not only the MWD Diamond Valley facility, but you can go all the way through Sun City, Menifee, and over to Canyon Lake. It's approximately 40 miles of trail. Again, it's another collaborative effort. We're doing that with the National Forest Service, equestrian groups, and mountain biking groups from the Hill. But again, it's non-funded, so we have done our preliminary alignments. We're figuring, oh, and I forgot Hemet Water Company is our fourth collaborative member. And then we're doing the trail that's not directly associated to the city of Menifee. It's over in the Temescal Valley. We're working on the Overland Stage Temescal Canyon route, which is also referred to as the Southern Immigrant Trail. It's a historic trail. We're working on a 20-mile segment of it. The trail actually goes from Los Angeles all the way into San Diego County. The National Forest Service has worked with the city of Temecula, Murrieta, and Lake Elsinore, I believe.
Wildemar.
Yeah, I think I left somebody out. And Wildemar. And they have determined their sections of the alignment. We have a National Park Service assistance grant, and we're working from Lake Elsinore all the way up into Corona. The interesting thing about that is that this trail will have a finger connection that will take it to Canyon Lake. So I'm going to regress for a couple of minutes, and this is where my boss says I wander too much. But think about being able to ride a bicycle from Idlewild through Salt Creek, around Canyon Lake, down into the Temescal Valley, and have the opportunity to go to the southeast and go to San Diego County, or go to the northwest and go all the way up to the Santa Ana River. I mean, it is just an amazing thought. I mean, this is something I never envisioned when I came to work for Riverside County 27 years ago. So this one's just, surprisingly enough, it's still non-funded for the development phase, but it's a National Park Service program, and if it gets National Historic Trail recommendations or status, it looks like it's very positive for us to move forward on. My fourth one is the San Jacinto River Trail. San Jacinto River Trail basically follows a portion of the Juan Bautista Trail all the way down the river, and then it cuts off, goes through villages in Nuevo, Homeland, Roma Land, and into Paris. Wraps around and goes into the top of Canyon Lake too. So when you step back and think about it, right here in central Western County, we've got two major trails coming across the county. We have a major trail coming down and connecting into the wine country and the wine country trails plan. And then we've got the historic trail and Southern Immigrant Trail. We've given, what we've developed is a backbone of regional trails. And now it's time to start doing the infill. And that's where we would look for collaborative efforts in joining our partnerships with cities, and again, some of the smaller groups or CSAs to develop the trails. And the final trail I just have to speak about is the Santa Ana River Trail. Santa Ana River Trail has actually been around for almost 110 years. The concept of going from the San Bernardino Mountains to the Pacific Ocean at Huntington Beach for 110 years. About 50 years ago, they actually started to build it. We are currently in the process of finishing our design, development, construction plans for 22.6 miles that are remaining in Riverside County. We have a couple of stumbling blocks that we're still dealing with. One of them happens to be a state agency. One of them happens to be an Orange County agency. But we believe that we've resolved those issues, and we are hoping to be to first phase construction in October of 2015 and be out of construction on our 22 miles by 2016. So it's a really exciting time for trails. If we work with the city of Corona, we work with Moreno Valley, we're working with practically every city we can get to come to the table with us to help get trails developed right now. We're beating the doors down. We actually had a minor victory with one of the Riverside County Transit Commission agencies who's agreed to put, as long as we have trails or bike trails going close to or into bus stations or staging, park and rides, they will make sure that they accommodate the trails, and the buses will be available to take bicycles. So it's an exciting time for trails, it's a fun time for trails, and we're looking for partners. So I'm here to answer any questions, and hopefully, I talked to Marty before the meeting, or excuse me, Chair Rosen, I'm sorry, Marty, before the meeting, and I offered to give him, I do updates for our own Trails Commission on all of our trail projects. And I can give this committee, if they so desire, an abbreviated form and send it to Marty, and he can distribute it. And if you ever need me to come back, I'm more than willing to do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We certainly would. Rick? I'm sorry.
Mr. Brewer,
Yeah.
I can honestly say you're never going to be out of work. We appreciate everything you do. I'm a
Thank you.
trails guy.
Mhm.
A couple of questions.
sir.
If at some point in the future, if we could maybe have a little presentation, or you could just email it to, as far as what the county has planned for staging areas.
Yeah.
There's a real great interest in this city to create some staging areas. We have some possibilities right on those borders, and I think you would find us very amenable to working with the county to get some of those accomplished. I think that,
I think that'd be the perfect thing for us to do,
yeah,
to be honest, because I'm stretching I'm trying to get 10 cents out of every penny that I've got.
absolutely.
And if I have a willing partner or a willing volunteer group within the city or within a park district, that if we can get the materials, they can provide the labor, I think that's something that's very doable.
Yeah, I we really appreciate it.
And it would give both agency, it would give your agency and our assisting agencies some good publicity, and people need to understand that. Trails are kind of a vacuum, and unfortunately, we're at a point in Riverside County to a certain extent that we're retrofitting
Yes.
trails, and that's a difficult thing to do, and we have a lot of hurdles to overcome, so
Yeah.
anything that we could do would be.
We've experienced some of those 2-block-long trails, and we want to try to.
Well, you might be blaming me for some of those, okay? Because
No.
I remember conditioning a lot of people in this area before you guys became a city, so.
Also, could you speak maybe a little bit about the Garbani Regional Trail? Is that still viable? Is it something? the
It's
county's still-
viable, but part of the problem is the way, the idea of conditioning to get trails
Mhm.
creates infill problems.
Right.
And sometimes things get negotiated out without our knowledge. Like there's a section on Garboni where I got a trail on one side, trail on the other, and somehow the guy in between got out of the condition. And that's something we're working to, we continually work to prevent. Ideally, we'd like to be able to set up a program where we can come by and do those infills so you do have a viable trail without making you zigzag across the road. I mean, I'm going to kill somebody or get somebody killed if I do that. And we continually work with transportation to make sure that where possible, we can get equestrian and bicycle crossings over the freeways.
It's all about money. That's all you need.
Yeah, and as an example, and not to scare anybody, we did a 16-foot cantilever off the River Road Bridge
Wow.
over the Santa Ana River Trail, and I think the final cost on it was like $13.5 million. And, yeah, when you said, yeah, you should have seen my face when I saw the final number, because they kept bringing in or offering us examples and things, and I kept asking, I said, how much is this going to cost us? And, you know, the well's dry right now. There's not a lot of money for that. And, you know, we're working with transportation on the 215, and we try to go under roads like the 215 as much as we possibly can. It's our intent on Salt Creek to go under the 215. But there's areas where we may have to use to switch the sides of the river, or the drainage channel. We might have to go across like a road like Sanderson and then do a loop around and go back and go under to get the trail back over into a safe location. So,
Just a reminder, Dean will recall that he and I spoke with Metropolitan, who've agreed to allow us to hook up into their trail that runs around the lake,
yeah.
Diamond Valley Lake. And also, they were going to provide us with two-acre staging areas.
Okay.
Well, I should say, the use of their land for staging areas.
Well, just to let this committee know what Marty and Dean worked on goes to the board next Tuesday morning.
Excellent.
It's an agreement, we're expanding our consultants agreement on the Salt Creek Channel to do the study to go from the Salt Creek Channel under the Don Mangoni up around the lake, down through the MSR and into Lake Skinner, which if you can ride out of Lake Skinner if you're on a bicycle, you'll be able to pick up, again, Wine Country Trail going down into the city. So it's good. It was very appreciated, believe me.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I got a real quick one.
Oh, I'm
Yes, sir.
Just primary source of funds, is it from DIF that the county collects, and then you get a portion of that for trails?
I get a portion of it for trails. Remember, DIF is considered development's fair share, so DIF is usually used as a match to another granting source. Best example, I have Proposition 50 money on the Santa Ana River Trail. I used $900,000 in DIF to match a $1.7 million grant. So that's our, you know, I can never build anything specifically using DIF funds. It's always like an infill project, or it will always be to match a grant, is supplemental, because I don't want to go through an audit with the building industry.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you, Marty.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me tonight.
All right. Next item, public comments on non-agenda items. Do we have people who wish to speak?
Yes, we have one comment from Gloria Sanchez.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'd like to bring to your attention something that has come up lately regarding the Aldergate Park, which is located right outside. It's on Aldergate and Menifee Road. A group of dog owners had requested the separation of small dogs from big dogs, and the reason is attacks happen. And so we had thought that would be an easy thing to accomplish. We approached Valley-wide on this, and we had some meetings with other dog owners. They were all in agreement that this should be something that should be done, because right now it doesn't exist. Many people who used that at the beginning stopped using it because of that. We thought this was going to be a pretty easy fix. You know, you put a fence up, and you say one is for the small and one is for the large. That didn't happen. And I think that we were extremely surprised when, in working with them, they asked us what we kind of wanted to see. We submitted a plan to them to review it. They came back to us at one of our meetings, and they said it'll all look good. But then as we started meeting with them after, I was surprised to hear that they had said that we should be doing fundraising to at least raise $20,000 for this, what we wanted to have done. It was always my understanding that Valley-wide took full responsibility for the parks on the east side of the freeway. So imagine my surprise when we were told that it would be a good idea to have a fundraising to raise these funds. I question that only because when I pay my taxes at the end of the year, there's always a line item that says so much dollars are given to Valley-wide. And I guess my question to Valley-wide is, where do those funds go to, and how are they used? So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, because now we had another figure that was given to us that was $60,000. And so the price keeps going up, but nothing is done. They have worked on the park, and I think that's a good thing, but I think that should have been done on an ongoing basis, because it is their park and people who use it. So I'm really concerned that, you know, this fundraising thing kind of happened all of a sudden, and I'm asking them to let us know, you know, where the money is that they collect from the taxpayer on the east side of the freeway, so that we can better know. And I think this commission has a right to ask those questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there anyone else?
No, I have no additional speaker slips, but if there's anyone else in the audience that would like to speak at this time?
Just fill out a form. Go right ahead.
We have Helen.
My name's Helen Badiato, and I represent the Dog Lovers Club of the Oasis. We use that park a lot, and we had used it for many years. I've been in communication with Dean Witter, and we've been going over and over the amounts that are short, I guess is short, is what we're dealing with. And it always comes down to about $6,000. There is also water fountain that they are not going to put in because I get a figure of $8,000. But they are putting money in through their board of directors. They're going to put $35,000. Foundation is going to add another $5,000. But it always comes down to a $6,000 need. And the people I represent are upset because every year money is given to Valleywide to take care of that park, and it hasn't really been taken care of for the last few years. The water's been shut off and it became a dust bowl. And that's what started it, and there was also no separation from the large dogs and the small dogs. I understand that a couple of dogs have been killed there, and also that Valleywide is not charged with that because of a law from the state of California. So we always come down with 6,000, and if we don't have a pet fountain, that would be more. And we're looking at a fundraising, which we're not absolutely against, but some people are. So we just want to maybe have a little more information on exactly where all the money's coming from, and if the city can help us in any way to come up with that $6,000, or maybe donate the drinking fountain, we would be interested in getting that information. So that's about it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Uh,
Did you have any questions?
No, well, since this is a non-agenda item, I'm not allowed to discuss it, because but I'm going to ask our director if perhaps we could get some information from Valleywide at the next meeting, and see if we can help. Go.
I don't think $6,000 is a whole lot of money, and I know that we do have funds collected in DIF funds. It would take an approval by our city council for capital improvement expense or something like that. Is that something this body can recommend to the council?
Yeah, this body can recommend that. I can also meet with Valleywide to discuss the particulars to make sure I've heard a few different numbers. I want to make sure we have the right number before we start making that commitment.
That's a good idea.
But I think that before we did anything, we really should hear Valleywide, listen to what they have to say about it, before we make any recommendation.
Agreed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. My question would be, with the small versus large dogs, is that something has some history to it? I mean, not just in Menifee, is that standard at a dog park to separate them?
Yeah, typically that is. Some dog parks even have further separation or distinction of dog sizes, usually by weight of the dog, for the exact reasons that the speaker was talking about. Not all dogs get along, even if they're both big dogs, but it helps better segregate that population. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Any other comments? All right. And let's go to the approval of the minutes of June 26th. Are there any changes required? Hearing none. I would ask for a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Brings us to 8.1, the first discussion item, the cost study analysis. Is there going to be a staff report?
Yes, Chair, thank you. There is a brief report. I can go ahead and give that at this time. You can follow along on the monitor in front of you. So just to give you a quick background, part of the efforts to assume the operation of the programs and facilities that are on the west side of the I-215 that are owned by the city included not only an inventory of those facilities, but also an assessment and analysis of what it costs to operate those facilities and any matching attempt to recover those costs through user fees. And so that was really the intent of the cost study analysis. It looked not only at facilities, but also at programs to some degree, and then any depreciating value of those facilities, as there is usually a need to replace or repair those over time. The community services staff did execute an agreement with a consultant to perform that service, and in your packet is a copy of their report. And their cost revenue specialists, they do these types of reports and these analysis in various agencies and municipalities, and they specialize in this particular type of work. From the outcome of that cost study, though, there was some comparisons. They do a mix of the analysis that I mentioned on cost, staffing, maintenance, programming, materials, supplies. All of that is rolled up into the actual cost of doing the service. And then, in addition to that, there's a comparison with what other cities charge for similar sized facilities and programs. And so they did this survey of other cities to kind of see what the market rate is for those type of facilities, because it is certainly one thing to seek full cost recovery for facility use or program. It's another thing to see how that fits in with what other places are charging. As a good example, you can rent out a banquet facility at an hourly rate to cover all of your costs. But if the place down the street that's at an HOA is charging much less, then you may have priced yourself out of the game and you're not going to see much business. And so it certainly is a balance between cost, actual cost, and what the market will bear. So as a result, as I mentioned, here's an example on the screen of a fee comparison. This is really in relation to facility rental fees. As you can see, there's a number of municipalities on here: Temecula, Marina Valley, some valley-wide facilities, Paris. Of course, the catchment of that survey covered many agencies because not all of them have the same type of facility. So we had to make sure it was somewhat apples to apples. And usually that's done at the square foot level, although some facilities are newer than others. So it is a very tedious and difficult comparison to make, but we, through the consultant, we do the best we can. And the next one, and again, I apologize for how small it is, but you do have this in your packet as well, so you can drill down a little bit more. This one is specifically with the comparisons for ball field or athletic field use. And picnic shelters. You can see this is usually a really great comparison because these are the most used facilities in the entire department in the city, because sports users tend to be our heaviest patron group by hours overall. So this is the comparison. As you can see at the bottom of each of these sections, there is a proposed fee, which again is the balance of cost in comparison with the market value, what we think we could get for these facilities. And then finally, just consolidating all of those onto one fee schedule. This is what it would look like, and this is what staff, along with the consultant, are recommending for what the commission can recommend to council as adopted fees. And to give you a quick rundown on the categories across the top, these are fairly common in other agencies to have a tiered pricing system. What it does is provide incentive for local or resident-based groups who want to use facilities as a reflection of a subsidy the city provides to those residents because they are tax-paying, versus those that are from outside of the city who want to use it, who may be paying a higher rate of cost recovery for that use. So, of course, Group 1 is the city-sponsored. That'd be typically city programs, city events for uses of those facilities. Resident nonprofit youth sports, those are the common ones I mentioned. Those are, Little League, AYSO, those types of nonprofits that are based out of the city of Menifee. Group 3 is a resident nonprofits, civic or social. Those are basically non-sports groups that are nonprofits, again, based out of this city. And then resident nonprofit other, sort of a catchment. Sometimes there are groups that don't fall squarely within the civic social category. They could be things like other agencies, maybe the county, who services a much larger area but have a focused interest just in Menifee for a particular activity or event. And then community resident, non-resident, nonprofit. That category is pretty self-explanatory, but the major one where you see that jump is right there at group 5 and 6, where we're really focusing on residents that are not from the city of Menifee and commercial interests that are not from the city of Menifee. And of course, that price tier reflects that outside use. So for the most part, this is the proposed scope of fees. What I'll highlight, obviously, too, is that this does not show fees for programs, and there's a reason for that. Programs tend to change seasonally, and the cost of those programs can vary depending on number of folks enrolled, the scope of the program. One week a camp may be going, as Vince mentioned earlier, out to a Storm game. Another week they may be going somewhere even further. So the price will vary. And so to allow the flexibility in the pricing scheme, we did not include it in the fee structure. But we asked that the recommendation be to council that city management and the department staff are able to have the administrative authority to assign those as needed to recover costs. So with that, that summarizes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions about this.
Are there any questions? Oh,
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Just a quick question. I think this is great. I think it's a very competitive. I kind of drilled down into the numbers a little bit over the last couple of days. Very competitive prices, and I think it encourages people to use our facilities. I know that if I had a sports team or something, I'd be thrilled with this. It's good stuff. My question is on the subsidies. In those numbers, there were some numbers there, like a 68%. That is actually the number that we are subsidizing, 68% of this.
Correct, that's right.
Category.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
is that normal?
Typically, yeah, the range of subsidy can be from 45 to 70%, from usually those based in the city, so resident use, yes.
Yeah, since we have to think about the other side of the city and the folks live there also being citizens of Menifee, how do these weigh in against the rates Valley-Wide has?
Sure, in some areas they are very comparable. In some they're a little bit lower, and mostly I impart that because of the quality of facilities. Some of our older parks aren't in quite as good condition yet, and our maintenance isn't as frequent as theirs is. And so again, we back into these figures based off of frequency of maintenance and cost of that maintenance. So the goal is to improve that maintenance over time, and if need be, come back to these fees and amend them in a future year once we get the standard up to a certain level.
So in another year, revisit the numbers, 2 years? Something
Yeah,
like
it
that?
could be in a year or 2 years, really depending on how well those facilities come back after we've had some time to focus in on them.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, Bill?
Thank you. Question, Robert, was this a portion of that fee study that was done citywide for all the services? I think Mr. Johnson had done that for the city, or was this just commissioned just for this Parks and Rec?
This was commissioned just for this. I don't believe that fee study included park use, park fees.
And then one other question, like when we're looking at this screen, and the first tier is the city-sponsored category. Can you give us some examples of, like, let's say the Historic Association wanted to put on a special event that kind of benefits the city? Is it a case-by-case basis to find out which one of these categories they fit in, or how does that work?
Sure, city co-sponsored or city-sponsored are similar categories. It really depends on the level of partnership that group has with the city. So let's use, for example, the Father's Day camp out, which happens over at La Ladera. That is a city-sponsored event, although there are other partners in the past. Obviously, the county has been a part of that because they were under contract with us, but there wouldn't be any fees imparted to the county when they operated it, even though they were doing it on behalf of the city. That would be a great example.
Excellent.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, I ask for your pleasure in this. We are asked to recommend that the City Council adopt Resolution number 14-391, establishing a fee schedule for recreation programs, services, and park facility use in the city of Menifee. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none? All in, do we need a roll call vote on this?
No, I believe you can do all in favor.
Okay. In that case, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? It passes.
Just for your edification as well, this is long awaited and welcome because we have been getting a lot of phone calls from residents interested in reserving out things from shelters to ball fields. I know Vince has been getting phone calls at Valleywide to start reserving out ball fields, so this is a good thing. Next steps, so the commission is aware, is that this goes to public hearing on the 20th of August. You might say, well, why is it so long? Because for a public hearing, we have to post notice, and there's just not enough time from the time that this group meets and the next city council meeting on the 6th to post that notice. So it's coming along.
Thank you. All right, let's go to item 8.2, the VFW facility lease agreement. Again, staff report?
Yeah, just very brief update. If you'll recall back about 2 meetings ago from City Council, the council directed staff to meet with the VFW and negotiate a lease opportunity for use of the facility at the north end of the Case San Aceros Senior Campus. That campus was deeded over to the city effective July 1, 2014. That was the only facility within the west side facilities that the city didn't already own. And so as of July 1, the city owned that. And former to that ownership, Care Connexus, which was an adult daycare facility, had already vacated, and that facility was really ready for some sort of use. Council directed staff to meet with VFW as a possible new tenant and negotiate a lease. So what you have before you today is a consideration to recommend to council execution of that lease with the VFW for their headquarters. The terms of the lease are essentially a 1-year lease with 2 additional single-year renewal options. For $1 a year, the VFW would pay the actual utility costs. Some background on the facility is that it used to be a residence, and it was converted by the county EDA some time ago. It was 2009, if I'm not mistaken. 2010 is when it was renovated through a CDBG grant. And so now it's a more public commercial, not commercial, but public use. It's been retrofitted for that. And so it may be a good match for them for use. So the actual utilities are easy to derive from what is paid by the city because they're standalone meters for each of the utilities there since it was a house before. So, with that, it summarizes the report. I'd be happy to answer any questions on this.
Bill?
Thank you. Playing button tag here. You had mentioned that originally the improvement was done by CDBG money. And anytime you do that, there's usually some stipulations where they require that for a certain period of time that certain goals and objectives are met, serving low to moderate income families, providing food, or helping seniors, whatever it is. Would the VFW's use qualify for that? Is that something that, or do they intend to offer programs that satisfy CDBG?
So the time table on that is 55 years, and my staff's been meeting with them pretty regularly to tour the facility and to talk about some of those guidelines. So I want to actually refer this over to Margarita Cornejo to give a little bit of background, since she's also our CDBG expert in the city.
Hi, that is correct. Because CDBG funds were spent on that building, it is to remain with the same use that it was. So part of the lease agreement that you do have in place specifically calls that out. We have communicated that with the VFW as well, so that as they design the programs and activities that will be run out of that building, they will continue to meet a national objective, which is to serve low, moderate income persons, and that includes seniors, and it can include veterans, but there will be required documentation that be kept on file demonstrating that.
All right, very good. I was wondering that, so thank you very much, Margarita.
Rick?
Yeah, pretty much along the same lines. I'm good with this. I think it's a very good idea. I would just encourage the VFW to have other uses allowed there, because it is I would hate to see something be used 1 or 2 days a month that could be used for a lot of other programs.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. In that case, I will entertain a motion to recommend to the city council that they authorize the city manager to execute a facility lease agreement with the VFW post 1956 for the use of that Case and Aceros Campus North building. Anyone?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we approve that recommendation.
May I suggest we add 1 year as the term of the lease in that motion?
There is a term.
Is it 1 year?
It is a 1 year. It doesn't say it on the recommendation here, but the agreement, if you look at it, is for 1 year.
So it's covered.
With an option.
Yeah, with an option to. Do I have a second for the,
I'll second.
all right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Approved unanimously.
Excuse me, and for clarification, who did the second of the motion? Okay.
Tom? All right, item 8.3, FSA Professional Services Agreement. Professional Services Agreement with the Family Service Association. And again, Robert.
Very brief. This is, again, some cleanup work since the facility has now become city ownership as of July 1st. The agreement between FSA and the county was between them only, not the city before, since we weren't part of it. And now we want to formalize that arrangement at the facility. FSA is the Family Service Association, been in operation for many years, and in fact, we're the operator of the facility before the county had their own staff in there. And so there's been several iterations of staff in there. The only thing remaining from FSA has been this senior nutrition program. The senior nutrition program provides hot meals to seniors, particularly low-income seniors, but certainly those that can't afford it as well, both at the center as well as homebound. So they do delivery of hot meals to those that are shut in, and volunteer seniors deliver those to them. Their program is actually funded in part by a grant from the county Department on Aging and Adult Services, and it's actually a pass-through grant from the federal level, and so there are some strict requirements about what kinds of food they can serve. It has to meet specific nutrition levels before they can actually deliver them. There is only one requirement, and it's not really a requirement. They're asked to solicit a donation from seniors that can't afford it. I believe it's currently set at $3 per meal per person. Of course, they can't, if a senior can't afford it, they don't turn them away. The only stipulation that staff has put into this agreement is that for FSA to be able to utilize this space and provide this valuable service to the community, we want to ensure that they're actually providing to Menifee residents as a priority. So They don't have to pay, the FSA does not have to pay any lease payment, and they don't have to pay any utility costs so long as they're servicing Menifee residents. That really sums it up. Everything else pretty self-explanatory. It's just transitioning.
I just have one question with regard to the Menifee resident. They will accept anybody who comes from any place, right?
As far as I understand, they will. It's more of a somewhat of a heads up to FSA and other agencies. They have utilized some facilities as central cooking kitchens and then distribute food to several cities in the area. And so we want to avoid that because then it becomes a very high subsidy on the city for other cities. So we're just being very cautious.
Okay. Any comments?
I'll move approval.
Okay. I have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved unanimously.
Before we move on to the next one, Marty, I think Ralph M. Brown would roll over in his grave if I didn't recuse myself, being the president of Arts Council Menifee, so I'll step
Got it.
right in.
Yeah. All right. All right, let's go to item 8.4. Execute a memorandum of understanding with Arts Council Menifee for them to use the Queso Senior Center for community art showcases, planning, and meetings. Again, Robert?
All right, this is the final cleanup item, I believe, in the transition of that facility. The Arts Council Menifee currently, and prior to July 1st, have used that facility through partnership with EDA staff for display of artwork and gallery showings, as well as regular meetings relative to that art program. And there was a request from the Arts Council to continue that. We believe it is a valuable service to the community. A recommendation through this MOU is to not charge them any fees because it does provide a great atmosphere for the seniors who attend and an opportunity for the public to come in and enjoy the facility and the artwork that's provided through their artists. So that really sums it up.
And there's no charge to anyone who comes in?
That's correct.
Okay. Any comments?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. So it's approved unanimously. All right. Okay, let's move to item 9, Community Services Director comments.
Thank you, Chair. I'm actually going to turn this over to some of my staff for various pieces. They're going to give a very brief update on what's already taken place. Some of these were in motion prior to the commission meeting, or the commission even being formed, and so this is really just to catch you up on the latest and greatest. First, though, the Menifee Community Covered MOU and USDA Commodities Distribution Program. Margarita can give a very brief overview of that.
Good afternoon. As Director Lennox stated, there are actually item 9.1 and 9.2 are kind of summarized in this presentation. These are two MOUs for two programs that are currently are being run actually already out of the Queso Senior Center. And the first one is the USDA Commodities Distribution Program, which is a partnership with the Menifee Valley Community Cup Board and Valley-wide Recreation and Park District, the current operator. Basically, the program is a federal program that helps supplement the diets of low-income needy persons. The program provides commodities to those who meet the current income requirements as posted, and there are monthly distributions done at the center. So far there's been two, one in June and one in July. This actually is one of the programs that we've kind of suggested to the VFW to see if they can partner together and use that building as a way to meet that national objective and also continue to add some space. So hopefully that'll work out. And then the second one is the Riverside County Senior Community Employment Program. This is a partnership with the Valleywide Recreation Park District, the current operator. This program is run through the Riverside County Office on Aging, and it provides low-income seniors 55 years of age or older an opportunity to get training and volunteer opportunities to seek employment. So MOUs for both of these programs have already been signed by all parties and are already in action. So it's just an update to let you know of some additional programs that have come online since the city assumed responsibility of the center.
This requires no action from us, it's just information.
No, just informational.
Will we have an MOU come to us in the future on these?
No, these were administrative in execution. They didn't require anything else, especially since there's no monetary exchange.
Okay, thank you.
9.3.
Sure. Just to provide a quick update, I think tonight you had distributed to you a copy of the executed agreement with Valleywide Park and Recreation District to operate parks and do maintenance of those parks and recreation centers on the east side of the I-215. As I promised at the last meeting, we would bring this back just so you had a copy of what was finally executed. You'll see there all the signatures are there. What I will highlight, though, is that during the negotiation stages of this contract was identified by Valleywide that there were some items that they did not provide the service for in their base agreement. And so you'll see attached to the agreement scope of extra work items with the rates, the corresponding rates for those services. So if and when the city would need those services, we would be charged an additional amount if Valleywide was to complete those. The city does obviously still have the option to hire a specialized vendor to do those. Things like weed abatement, or not weed abatement, I'm sorry, graffiti abatement or pest control, those sorts of things. So it is for your information. I think the last time we gave you a draft, this is the actual final agreement that was done and approved by council to be executed.
Just a question. All of these extras, is there another contract with Valleywide?
That is to be determined by council. We will be briefing council on extra work costs and an estimate of what it may be on an annual basis. At very least, staff is likely going to be requesting a new additional allocation. And if council so wishes, they may elect Valleywide to receive that extra contract amount, either as an amendment or a separate new contract. Or they may do what I first mentioned, which is just say, staff, here is the new appropriation or additional appropriation, find vendors to take care of these extra work items.
And you don't need any recommendations from the commission?
Not at this time. I think we're going to wait and see what council's discretion is on this.
Okay, so this is informational as well.
Correct.
Okay, that was 9.3. Now 9.4.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Alan Yun to give an update on our park improvement projects.
Thank you, Director Lennox. Commissioners and staff, I'll be providing a brief overview of our capital improvements projects and our tracking report. Here's a quick summary, a spreadsheet of our tracking report. It details the project name, project description, available budget funding source, project budget, funding spent to date, project status, and milestone dates and notes. One of the first completed projects that we done was the City Park Restroom Improvements Project. The project locations were at Audie Murphy Ranch Sports Park, E.L. Pete Peterson Park, and La Ladera Park. Project details consisted of installing new commercial-grade metal doors, frames, and new hardware, and also installing a new magnetic automatic locking systems for the doors. The benefits were lower maintenance costs, increasing security, and the automatic door locking system eliminates staff time opening and closing restrooms. Here's some before and after pictures. At Audie Murphy Ranch, after the first month of opening, there was a break-in in the men's restroom. There was some damage from the wooden door frame. There was a temporary frame repair, door damage, and inside the men's restroom, you can see that the door frame damage, the kids eventually ripped off the drywall and stuff like that. Here's some completed pictures. There's the technician installing the metal door frame. There's the metal door frame in primered stage. There's another picture, bottom left picture is the new hardware. And then bottom right is the completed install. Next park was EL Pete Peterson Park. There's,
Before you do that, Alan, could I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do we have any video of any of these locations?
At Audie Murphy Ranch, there is a video camera, but it's pointing at the playground, so it wasn't pointing at the bathroom.
Okay.
Okay. Here's some original pictures of the original doors at EL Pete Peterson Park. And the bottom picture was this park originally had an automatic door locking system, but was not working, not functioning. Here's some completed pictures. Top left corner picture is the actual door locking control unit. Top right picture, new hardware. Bottom left is the emergency push button. The doors automatically close either at 9 or 10 o'clock, depending on the schedule. And so if you were to get locked in, there's a push button so you can get out. It does happen. And then bottom right picture is a completed install. Here's some before pictures at La Ladera Park, also the original doors. Bottom left corner is original hardware. After many years of use, the door hardware, the mechanism it gets harder to open, or it gets bent after time. And then there's original hardware on the door, the locking mechanism on the door. Here are the completed pictures. There's top left corner is the primer door install. Top right corner is the new magnetic door locks. Bottom left is another picture of the emergency push button. And then bottom right is a completed install picture. Another project that happened, that was completed, was the Audie Murphy Ranch Skate Park warranty repairs. The park opened end of May, and during that time, the park has been heavily used by the Menifee residents, by the kids, and so there was some warranty repair issues out there. The park was built by American Ramp Company out of Missouri, so they sent a repair crew from Missouri to come to California to make the repairs. Project details. Repairs to the skate bowls, ramps consisted of repairing chips and anchor points. A 2-part epoxy resin was used for the repairs, and it cures to a 6,000 psi compressive strength, just as hard as concrete. The metal coping around the skate bowls began to warp out of shape due to the California heat, which required drilling using counterset screws, welding those screws down, and grinding the metal smooth. The repairs took 2.5 days. Here's some before pictures. Top left picture, you can see where the metal heated up and came up from the concrete, and even a slight 1/4 inch difference right there, the skaters can tell. Safety hazard right there. Here's another, the picture on the right, I took a side picture and you can see how much the metal had lifted up. Bottom left picture are the skate bowl, in one of the skate bowl, there's damage right there. From what the repair technician said, it was perfect timing, perfect angle that caused that kind of crack from whatever it was, either skateboard, scooter, or a bike. Bottom right picture is another picture of damage. That's actual, the ramps and the skate bowls were precast concrete, so they were shipped over here. And that was an anchor point used from the crane to put it in place. And here's some completed pictures of repair work. Top left corner is a 2-part, that shows a 2-part epoxy repair. Top right is the concrete sealer. After you grind away the epoxy, they put a concrete sealer over it, sealing the repair. Bottom left is the technician welding of the metal coping, and then the bottom right is a picture of overall repair work for the skate park, for the skate bowl. And that completes my presentation.
Thank you. Are there any,
I do.
please?
Alan, and all of these things happen after the city took possession of the park from Brookfield?
Yes.
We didn't have any stipulations as far as repairs or things like this that could fall under their responsibility, or is it all on the city?
The skate park was completely free. It was warranty repair work.
Oh, good.
So it was nothing out of pocket.
Okay, great.
Yes.
To the commissioner's question, though, there have been other items within the park that were considered as general warranty items. For example, just last week there was a break, not a traditional break in irrigation. Was that a main line, Alan?
Yes. There was an irrigation break on the main line just after the irrigation booster pump.
Yeah. And so in that case, once it was excavated, determined that it wasn't actually the pipe that cracked, but the glue that failed. And so in that case, we went back to the builder and said, hey, can you take a look at this? Because it seems like this was a construction failure. And sure enough, they said, yep. And they sent their crew out, fixed it, no cost to us. So, yeah.
Okay, so brings us to 9.5. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't.
Tom, go ahead.
I wanted to ask, pictures of the doors we were looking at, the pictures of the doors we were looking at made me think about the Americans with Disabilities Act. Are we in conformance?
Yeah, we are actually. Park restrooms have a different set of requirements. So I think what you're referring to is the push button that'll automatically open the door.
Crossed my mind.
Yeah, those don't apply to park restrooms. So they just have to have the right width and clearance.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Brings us to 9.5.
Sure. Just following up on the discussion request that came up at the last meeting about meeting frequency of the commission. There was some discussion about this at the last city council meeting per the recommendation of this commission. The council elected to not formally change the ordinance to institute a second meeting, but did say that if the need arises later, that'd be something they could consider. The recommendation, though, an alternative may be that if the amount of items to review by the commission is warranting it, you can always elect to do a special meeting or even an adjournment of a meeting to another date to carry things over. So there are options still at the disposal of the commission to do more than one meeting a month.
I'd like to speak about that. And unfortunately, this came before the city council, before the city council knew anything about it. I have since spoken to actually most of the city council and explained the reason and the numbers of things that we've got in abeyance. And they are now prepared to change that if we want to. I suggest that we wait a bit and perhaps in a month or so ask them to do just that. They are expecting it. But I also would like to ask that we create, actually I could do that at the commission comments. So we could just go on first. Are there any further discussion concerning the frequency? Okay, hearing none, let's go to item 10, commissioner comments. And I would like to request that within 2 weeks, we set up a special meeting, purpose of which is to, actually a workshop, to review all future agenda items and prioritize them. So we have some idea what we're doing and when. Also, I would ask every commissioner to please put together a list of things you think should be dealt with and submit that to our secretary. Well, according to what I was told, that's Robert, but usually you have a designee of some kind. So I don't know if that's Margarita or if it's Alan, but send it to both of them, so it won't make any difference. And they'll compile it, okay, and send it to everybody. And then when we meet, we can look at all of these items, discuss them, and decide in what order to handle them. And this is, you have to realize, in addition to all of the other things that are coming up. Just look at our schedule today, and not one of the items that we talked about as future agenda items made it onto this agenda. So this agenda was based on things that came up. So I guess we're going to be busy. Anyway, other commissioner comments?
Yeah,
Yes.
I have one thing that I'd like, maybe get Robert to update us on the progress of the park that's just behind North Shore. That's been, they have a bathroom there and nothing else. It kind of didn't go anywhere, the one on Holland. And it just, an update of what's going on, maybe where we at is, you know.
Sure, I can return at the next meeting with some info. I believe that might be a valley-wide park, but I can certainly get some info for you.
Great, that'd be great, because it's a long-awaited park. I know people are going, when can we go?
Yes.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. You see the future agenda items, requests that are there now. I actually have a list, I think it's got 17 items on it. I'm sorry, 16 items on it. But when everybody submits theirs, we'll set up some kind of a general compilation, okay, and send it to everyone so we can discuss it. Is there a time, a day that's good for such a meeting?
Well, it seems like that would be at the discretion of the commissioners. Staff will be available when you need us, and where you need us. Just as a heads up to the commission, though, I will be on vacation starting next week on Monday for a couple of weeks, but after that I'll be back. And
When do you get back?
I get back on the, I believe Monday the 11th of August. So anytime after the 11th is perfect for us.
The 11th of August, I'm sorry. What's today? Today's the 24th. Okay. You get back on the 11th. Might I suggest that we do this on the 14th? It's also a Thursday, 6 o'clock. Well, we could do it at any time. It's up to
That's right.
commissioners. Is it, I mean, would you rather do it earlier than 6? Bill, is it okay?
I'm flexible.
Okay. Would you rather do it at 3?
Maybe 4, because I do have to concern myself with work until then.
Okay.
Work thing getting way in all my
No arguments. I'm just trying to find a suitable time. Is 4 o'clock okay for everyone? So 4 o'clock on the 14th?
Okay.
And that'll be a special workshop? Okay. Any other comments from commissioners?
I do.
Please.
Speaking of workshop, you know, I think it might be advantageous if we could sometime, maybe it's at this workshop, where it's a setting that's more out on a table with maps in front of us and things like that. It's a little cumbersome up here on the dais sometimes to be trying to pass a map around and point at things, so. I don't know
Well,
what
we
your
could have
thoughts are
maps
on
put up on an easel so that you could see them.
I think if we were gonna have a workshop, it might be easier to roll up our sleeves and just kind of get some work done on a table out in the center where we can, as opposed to, we don't need to make decisions and things like that. It's more of a
Well,
discussion.
what we're going to do is kind of decide in what order we'll take up the special agenda items.
Okay.
Now, we do need to, I think, we do need to go see parks. We may want to go see one of the soccer fields. What is that called? Brown?
A.B. Brown and Riverside?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
See what they like. You may like it, you may not. To see what we like, you know, whether or not it's something that we might want to, you know, follow or not. But all of this, we can discuss at the workshop, you know, whether you want to do it or not.
Yeah, and I'd also recommend for the workshop, we can have available larger maps of the current park system, both city and valley-wide, as well as a trails map that we have so far, and HOA parks that are in the city. So you can see the overlay. You can see where everything is, even the special tax districts that fund all of that. We can have that as well, so
And
it'll
if
help
you
with the
wanna-
discussion.
If you want to go see one of those, it can be arranged, you know.
Yeah, I was looking at a map recently, and I saw, I think it's Sun Ranch or something like that, and it's a great big park, and and I was
Is
thinking,
it
well,
private?
it's probably a private park, so I was just wondering how many others there are, and I started noticing
Yeah.
lots and lots of green tot lots and all that.
Well,
and
there
so
are
it's just-
a lot of those around that are,
That
not under
that Sun
our
Ranch Park, though,
jurisdiction,
looks
so.
huge. It looks like it's 30 acres or so.
right? Okay. Anything else, gentlemen? In that case, we are adjourned.